Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Voce with G2's market research team. I joined earlier this year, and I'm so excited to have the opportunity to be here with you today. It's been an incredible 11 months so far in getting to know and learning so much from our customers. I'm thrilled to be joined by one of my teammates, Matthew Miller. Matthew?
It's great to be here. My name is Matthew. I'm the AI analyst, and it's really looking forward to this conversation.
Great. So, we're here to talk about AI. And before we get there, in the past decade, the American urban landscape has transformed remarkably, with cities emerging as the meteoric growth hubs. And software isn't remarkably different. And as the world's largest software marketplace, we have a direct lens at G2 into what's happening in real time, from real user reviews that we collect, the website traffic with over 90 million visitors annually, and product and category insights and more. And if you're familiar in the US News is in part famous for their rankings, whether they be for colleges or universities or places to live. And as part of the US News Best Places to Live series, it lists some of the fastest growing cities in the US. And so we thought, why don't we do the same thing with software? And so we recently introduced our inaugural State of Software report, and it's a new quarterly series that's going to be your guide to trends, what's happening in trends in software, and an insight into some of the fastest growing and interesting markets. And in fact, what we see here at G2 is about a 7% year over year growth. That's across the entire landscape of software. But we're going to focus on the fastest growing market, and that's AI. And Matthew, tell us a little bit about the AI category, our taxonomy at G2.
Sure. At G2, we've got an AI taxonomy that's been growing a lot over time. So across the board in this taxonomy, we've got over 20 categories. We've got over 1,200 products, got almost 1,100 vendors, and we've got almost 39,000 reviews. And within that taxonomy, we've got all sorts of different categories that are for developers, for AI practitioners, data scientists, allowing them to incorporate AI into their workflows, into their applications, into their whatever they need to do for their business in order to achieve success.
Exactly. And I mentioned growth, and I'm going to put that growth into context. And AI, if you look at just the AI part of our taxonomy, it's the fastest growing. Oh, by the way, by about double the next fastest growing category. When I talk about fastest growing, I'm talking about the number of products in that category. Here's a picture over the last year. So you can think of, when we're talking about taxonomy, by the way, you can think of G2 software taxonomy kind of like a gigantic org chart. And I'm focusing on just the AI branch of that. And so what you see here are the blue labels, and these are the parent categories, meaning that there aren't any products in them necessarily, but they might hold child categories, or they do hold child categories. And the child categories have products in them. So think about like synthetic media is a parent to text-to-speech or AI writing assistants. Matthew, talk to me a little bit about some of the taxonomy, whether it be some of the emerging areas, new categories. What's exciting here for the audience?
Yeah, so one of the things which is exciting is if we look at the growth over this past year in our State of Software report, one of the things we found is those content related categories are really critical, and those are some of the fastest growing categories. So whether that's categories related to AI chatbots, so being able to create content in a more conversational way or to get information in a conversational way, as well as other related AI writing assistants. So some of those content creation categories within our AI taxonomy, those are huge and those are growing very quickly. And we've got a lot of other types of categories that are more conversational creation tools. So creating chatbots or more powerful development tools for creating all sorts of different bots in different flavors. And then we've got other ones which are using AI in very different ways. So video surveillance, using AI techniques such as image recognition to be able to know what's going on within your factory or your workplace. And then those tools, which also are the underpinnings of AI and allowing people to use these tools to build all sorts of different applications. So AI infrastructure related categories such as text to speech, so to give some sort of ability to take text, turn it into speech, So there's really a lot of different flavors and a lot of different varieties. And what the common thread here is just giving the power of AI to different organizations, to different users within a business, and giving them these very powerful tools.
Absolutely. And we do like to have fun here. And there's a reason I chose the theme of cities. So, partnering with G2's amazing design team, we ask ourselves a question: how might we create a more engaging way to visualize our taxonomy and experience it and see some of the trends and relationships? And so the team created a new visual using the metaphor of a city. And so that's how AI City was born. And when you think about a city, cities have neighborhoods and different levels and kinds of development and notable characteristics about them. The team used color to separate the categories. So think about that taxonomy you just saw. So to separate the categories of AI into neighborhoods of the city. And visualizing the taxonomy this way meant we could add another dimension. If you look at the size of the buildings, that denotes how many products are in those categories. Let's bring back the labels so you can see a map of the city. Now, what used to be branches of the taxonomy are now neighborhoods here. And here we can see those highly developed parts of the city. Remember, the size of the buildings represents the number of products within those categories. We have the highly developed part of the city, like AI sales assistants. There's over 250 products there, and you can see conversational intelligence is at the heart of the city. These are the mature categories. And generative AI, because of its relative newness, is relatively small. So, Matthew, what are some of the factors that have contributed to the growth in the AI software market over the last year?
So I think that, as you're just mentioning, some of these categories, which are already well established, they've got a lot of products because companies have been in it for a while. They've built up these products, they've developed them, they've continued to do so. So we've got a lot of products already there. More, maybe some of the more legacy products, some of them which have just been around for a while. Whereas with other categories and other more emerging categories, such as generative AI, we don't have as many products. And Chris, as you just said, part of that is because this is a newer space. The technology was more nascent. And so we don't have quite as many products. I should say as well that one of the things that's really important to note here, and this is related to the generative AI categories in specific, is that some of this technology is not necessarily within this taxonomy. So what I mean by that is across the board, across more than 200 categories within our taxonomy, everything from CRM to different financial software, we're seeing this technology within those products, but those are not going to be in our AI taxonomy, which is more focused on those tools for AI developers, AI practitioners. And so therefore, even if this city right here and this neighborhood of generative AI maybe is a little bit smaller, there's neighboring cities, there's sister cities, which are nearby, which have that generative AI capabilities and technology therein.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, Matthew. It's kind of eating up the world of software. So, just to get a little more backdrop, I grew up and live in the Boston area, and you have some established parts of our cities, the Back Bay, Financial District, older, established, large buildings, and though it's an old city, there's actually still areas of rapid growth. And if you've been to Boston lately, you might have visited the Seaport, especially if you're going to say a convention. And over the past 20 years, the Seaport in Boston has been where the heat is. First started with a hotel about 20 years ago, and then a convention center. And since then, it's exploded into a thriving center of economic growth. So we created an AI heat map overlaying search volume, replacing the color palette with a scale to show where the next seaport is. So think about blue is relatively cool and red is hot. And yes, you can see how generative AI is absolutely the hottest area right now, led by AI chatbots like ChatGPT and the content generation categories that Matthew was just speaking of. This, coupled with the growth I shared earlier, is just illustrates how enthralling this space is. Matthew, do you want to talk a little bit more about some of the hot categories?
Yeah, sure. So I think that this heat is really telling us something about just how much people want the software, they want to use it, and they want to bring it to their organizations. And people are searching for it. And so I think that therefore, if we bring this together with our last slide, so we know that currently these don't have as many products maybe as some of the older categories. That is the case, and we know that to be the case. But nonetheless, we think that as search volume increases, as the demand increases, we'll probably continue to see these categories grow. And that's with generative AI and also with some of the other categories. So if we're looking at some of the more infrastructure related categories, some of the more builder categories as well, we're still seeing heat to those categories. And we think that with this heat, with this increased volume of search, we'll continue to see more products as well as better products. If people want them, then the vendors are going to need to deliver as the best products they possibly can.
Absolutely. So just to wrap up, first of all, thank you, Matthew. I wanted to talk a little bit more about a question that we often hear. How does G2 create a category? The analysts on our team, like Matthew, track both new products and changes to existing offerings in the areas that they cover. For instance, if they see a new set of solutions, Matthew's been has put together an incredible roadmap in the AI space, and they'll dig into whether, okay, is this something a buyer is truly investigating? They'll dig into whether this is truly a new category or with a differentiated core set of features. And a little bit of a call to action to the group here. One of the most, we use a lot of different sources here, but one of the most valuable voices is vendors themselves who eat, sleep, and breathe the needs of their customers every single day. This insight and engagement is invaluable to us. So a compliment that has actually sat with me recently came from a vendor in the now established RPA space that credited G2 as helping shape and make that market. And if you have a perspective to share on a new or existing category, please submit a request on support.g2.com or connect with the analyst and work through your account manager to connect with an analyst. And really, we want G2 to be the best possible reflection of what your buyers experience in the market. And together with the software pioneers who are revolutionizing the industry, we're creating markets today. So with that, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.